Welcome to part 3 on board MSC Preziosa Northern Europe cruise. We are arriving in the port of Rotterdam about 7 AM in the morning. Part of the perks of being a Diamond member, you get a bar of chocolate each, only one bottle of champagne per cabin, and then the other bottle of champagne was part of the package we got, the Aurea package, with a bar of chocolate. Later in the trip we received a drawstring bag as a Diamond welcome gift. I do recommend joining the Voyagers Club, as if you're keen on the cruises you'll soon get the points. You coin out with silver, gold, and each tier gives different rewards and benefits. On the Diamond we also got some macaroons, and there's the drawstring bag, came later in the week. So we're now on one of the excursions to Amsterdam. As the guide was quite interesting, I'll leave you to listen to the guide.
But your ship is quite stable, it's huge, huh? Look to the left. And do you see, it is docked in the center of Rotterdam. It has sailed 38 kilometers, 25 miles to get inland to get here. And all along this 38 kilometers or 25 miles you were sailing through one of the 10 largest harbors in the world. It is the largest harbor of Europe and of the Netherlands, of course, of Europe. Yeah. Until 2005 Rotterdam was the biggest harbor in the world, but the Asian harbors have pushed it a little bit out of the ranking, so now we are among the 10 largest harbors in the world. So today you're getting more or less a little bit a 2-for-1, because we have to drive through the center of Rotterdam to get to Amsterdam. So that's nice for you. Now when you're looking around you, you already see everywhere high-risers and modern buildings. And you would think, is this a Dutch city? This is all these high-risers? Well, unfortunately Rotterdam was bombed in World War II. And the whole heart of the city, only the heart of the city, was completely destroyed in 15 minutes. It took them only 15 minutes. It was a warning from the Nazis at the time, because we were resisting them coming through our country. They wanted to get to England. And we resisted them for 10 days, and then they said, if you don't stop resisting us, we will bomb all your big cities. Well, they started with Rotterdam. And that's why Rotterdam has a very young center and older outskirts. That is quite unique here in the Netherlands. So that's why also the 7 highest buildings in the Netherlands are here in Rotterdam. When we're on our way back I will show them to you, because they're all behind us. So, but here we're driving into, on the right hand side, that's where the old harbors of Rotterdam were before they expanded all the way towards the sea, and they went outside of the city. Now it's all residential areas, and here where you see all the little lights, that is actually the museum, the Maritime Museum of Rotterdam, where you, if you come next time, you could have seen 200 years of maritime history in Rotterdam. It's all set out here in the indoor and outdoor museum, and you can actually visit all those ships that are docked there. You can get into them because they're all renovated, those ships. So yeah, we are now really approaching the heart of the city. The road we are driving on, that used to be the ramparts of this city in the 19th century, until the 19th century, and only then they started extending to the left and to the east and to the west. And once they got to the extreme borders of that, that's when they went with their harbors to the south side of the river and went outside of the city. So this is the main street of Rotterdam. Look to your left and right and left. Here we get the big shopping area, and even on the right is a shopping area. To get from the right to the left of the street, there is a shopping street under the street here, leading from left to right. We call that the buying ditch. And here, beautiful quality department store to your left, the Beehive. You also find that in Amsterdam on Dam Square, and we have one here in Rotterdam. That's one of the bigger and quality department stores of the Netherlands. So this is the main street of Rotterdam, where you also find the town hall and the postal service, the old postal office that was huge. And if you look here on the right hand side behind the McDonald's, that's the old postal service. That whole building, it's very impressive, very big. It's beautiful inside, but they are transforming it now into a hotel. And on top of that building there is now being built a residential tower, so people can also live there in apartments. And here on your right, beautifully illuminated with the Christmas tree and all the little lights, this is Town Hall of Rotterdam. This building was built finished in 1915, and fortunately during World War II this was also the border of the fire. So this building, the town hall, was not really destroyed. Dan heb ik ook nog even voor het Centraal Station. Of kan dat niet meer? De microfoon.
Ik ga mijn best doen.
Ja. So town hall was not destroyed, but it had so much fire and heat from the fire that the concrete construction of the building became weakened. So they had to renovate later the. Als het niet meer gaat, is het ook goed. So they had to renovate the whole town hall anyways because of the weakened concrete construction, but the outside, the beautiful natural stone building, because it wasn't a brick building, like most buildings in the Netherlands are brick buildings. And you know why? Because we don't have stone quarries. You are here in a country that is as flat as a pancake, so no mountains where we can take stone out of, so no stone quarries. So we have to import all that stone from Germany and Belgium, and that's for us a sign. If you see a building built out of natural stone, we know, okay. Into Amsterdam along the Amstel River. Do you see here to the right the river? That is the river that gave its name to Amsterdam. And along this river you'll find all estates which are dating back to the 18th, 17th, 18th century, from very wealthy. Here to the left you see one of those estates. You see? That's where the wealthy Amsterdam people went in the summer when the city of Amsterdam started smelling in the past. You see also some new estates. They are really, really expensive to buy here or to build, because it's along the Amstel. You're almost in Amsterdam and you're living in the countryside, and so that means very expensive. Nowadays the canals don't smell anymore, but like CEOs of companies, they like to have the big houses here along the Amstel. Here coming up on your left is an old one again from the 18th century with a T dome here to the left. And this is the estate, the old estate. Look how nice it looks with the Christmas. But look also how wet the land is. Do you see that? Yeah. You have the river to your right. The water in the river to your right is higher than the canal on your left. Do you see that? Yeah. That's why that's a polder here to your left. And also to your right. That's the polder. The area is lower than the water in the river. Because what we do, we pump the water out with a windmill with a scoop wheel at the back, and the water is pumped from the lower area on your left in the river here to your right, and this river brings it back to the sea. And this is how this pumping of water works in the Netherlands. You see all these canals here in the countryside. We don't dig any canal because we like it. We have to dig canals, otherwise the soil is too wet. Now look here to your left. You have another estate, very modern estate, but also very big, and here an old one, against an old farm estate. You see people rowing here. They are coming from Amsterdam. There's a rowing club in Amsterdam. But in the Netherlands, all the canals, even in the city, in Amsterdam, why do we have canals? Not because we want to attract tourism. It's to get the water out of the wet soil. You are here approximately 6 feet or 2 meters below sea level, maybe even 9 feet, 3 meters below sea level. That means that the soil is extremely wet. And to get all the water out of the soil as much as possible, we dig those ditches in the countryside. And in the cities, to get it out of the soil, we dig these canals. And that's how the excess water in the soil can get into the canals. And from the canals and the ditches, they are being pumped into the rivers nowadays with mechanical pumping systems, of course. In the past with old windmills, and that's the little surprise we have. We're gonna stop at one of those old windmills because we go so fast. So you can really take a picture of what an old Dutch water pumping windmill looks like. And you will see that behind the windmill the land is low and the river flows actually into the windmill, and that water is scooped up by a scoop wheel in the back of the windmill and up to the higher level into the river. Of course, the ones we show you is an old one, dating back to the 18th century, I think. It doesn't really pump anymore. You have mechanical pumping systems for that, but you really can see what it used to look like. And oh, here to the left, they're building something new again. A house here along this river, this size, is at least 8 million euros or more. That is really, really expensive. Only the really wealthy can afford to have a house built here in this area. It's also a place where the painter, the 17th century painter Rembrandt, came very often to paint the river. And he even has a statue that was set up here 300 years after his birth. It's coming up on your left hand side, a little statue of Rembrandt. Next to the windmill, you see it. You also see quite some people running around here because there's already a few buses here for us. Everybody has too much time today. We're not stuck in traffic today. Anyways, it's a little extra. Yeah, it's your lucky day. Huh? Rotterdam, a windmill in Amsterdam.
This was not part of the original trip because there was no traffic that was able to stop, so he was able to see one of the old windmill pumps that used to empty the canals into the sea. In Amsterdam, and that's the railway station there. We are due to go on a canal tour later in the trip. Excursion gave us a few hours free to explore Amsterdam itself. So these clogs slide around Amsterdam, and then here's the wife just trying them on for size.
Now run.
There's plenty of little shops all to explore while you're in Amsterdam. Most are open. Some selling big clogs. Now entering the red light district of Amsterdam. The red curtains and the red lights are literally where the ladies would sit, and basically you pick what the lady you'd like. The lady will open the door and you decide on the price. What's your thoughts on prostitution? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Here you can just see a lady there. You're not supposed to film them, but if you keep looking, you'll see a couple down this one. I didn't do any direct. So we're just on our way now to head towards the canal cruise, and I'll let the guide talk to you, tell you all about it.
City, and in the city we will also see some locks from time to time because of this tide that used to be here. But now there is no tide anymore. It's completely closed off by the lake and by the big locks at the end of the river. Well, Amsterdam became was made a settlement here in the heart of the city where red light district is. That's the oldest part of Amsterdam. That was in the 13th century. That's where they built a dam and 2 dikes, and they started living on it. In the 14th century they started doing business, they traded a little bit with the areas around it. In the 15th century too, but they weren't really big. Until the 16th century, when many people fled from other countries to the Netherlands, other European countries like Eastern Europe, from Portugal. Everybody who was persecuted in Europe fled to the Netherlands because we were considered quite liberal at the time. It's not so liberal anymore, I must honestly say, but in those days it was. And everybody was welcome here who did good. Was a good trader. Also people who came from Belgium, from the harbor of Antwerp, they were also persecuted by the Spanish king, and they also came to Amsterdam. So in the 17th century everybody came together here in Amsterdam, and they started sailing with all over the oceans, all over the world, with the East Indian Company. And the East Indian Company was a company that brought back to Amsterdam spices, porcelain, silk, everything that we didn't have, and we sold it for a big price, and that's why all the people in Amsterdam became so very wealthy. Well, mostly the merchants, of course. You will see later the houses of them. But now you have a little bit of an idea what is behind everything you're going to see. So all the canals that we're going to sail, the most of them, it's all 17th century, because it started off around that time, the extension. In the 17th century they started extending Amsterdam because they had so many people who came here. Before they extended the city in the 16th century, they had only 50,000 people here in the city. Then in 1620 they started to extend the city. By the time they were finished, they had 200,000 inhabitants. Well, nowadays it's almost 900,000. By the way, this building here to your left, that green building,
That completes the canal cruise and the tour of Amsterdam, and now we head back on the bus.
so here on your right, the highest building of the Netherlands, the highest apartment building of the Netherlands, 650 feet. It's not so high compared to New York or so, but in the Netherlands that's very high.
Here we are boarding back at Rotterdam, and you can see the MSC Preziosa. New Year's Eve, and the entertainment is on. I've blacked out the soundtrack for copyright reasons. Main dining room, a duck, and we both had the lobster tail. Well, Happy New Year! Yes, I must apologise for my singing. There's rather too many Bacardi and Cokes. Please do give us a like and subscribe. That would really help the channel a lot. Thank you. now we pop into the buffet, and they've got a little display on for New Year's Eve. Thanks for watching. Look out for part 4. Completes day 5, Rotterdam, Netherlands.